Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome back to another episode of AKP Sports Talk. That's Ari. I'm Korea, obviously. Thursday here, so obviously we got a Thursday night football game. We have so much action, of course, NBA, college football, college basketball. But of course, you gotta do a quick recap of how we did yesterday. First, me, very sweat-free day. First, Auburn, minus 16.5 was probably the most sweat-free bet I've had all year. It was very sweat-free. You know why? Won by 50. Like I said, I'm going to be backing this Auburn team a lot. They looked really good, and they didn't really score that much, but it was just you see a plethora of guys just being key contributors. First, Miles Kelly. My goodness. Miles Kelly. He's going to be a household name. I'm telling you right now. This guy is going to be a household name. This man could not miss from three. Broom had a good day. Obviously, I know you had Baker Mazzara in your for your college prop, and he had himself a day as well. I just knew that pretty much this whole team, was going to be doing pretty good today. So I loved Auburn here in the first spot here, and like I said, Vermont, they were coming off, an outright win, and we can't really discredit Vermont because obviously they're a great powerhouse in the America East. They've always won that conference for years, so it's not like Vermont's some nobody team. Obviously, we've seen them make the tournament in previous years, so maybe this is just credit to showing. And obviously, it's one game, and obviously, it's kind of how everyone overreacted to Gonzaga, beating Baylor by that much, obviously, and now Auburn winning by that much. Everyone's overreacting about how Auburn looks like the looks like the team of the year. But obviously, I said this team was going to be out for revenge, and obviously, it started yesterday with a big time win at home. And now they have a big time matchup on Saturday against Houston, which I think is going to be one of the best games of the entire college basketball season. You have a Houston team, obviously, very defensive against that Auburn team, obviously, who can score multiple ways. So we'll see. And Auburn's defense as well, very good in their own right. But it's going to be a good, exciting game on Saturday. But going to the other game, college football there, Northern Illinois, that was a great winner as well. It was a little sweaty in the first half, with just how back and forth it was. This is the game I was really tuning into. I didn't really watch that Auburn game just because I knew they were up by so much. I was like, well, I'll see some highlights, and I saw the highlights. But Northern Illinois, that was a pretty sweat-free winner there. After that, I think the big difference was the kick return after I think it was, I believe, Western Michigan went all the way down the field, exhausting drive, tied it up. They were feeling good, and then Northern Illinois just goes and runs it back, to regain the 7-point lead, and they didn't really look back from there. Like I said, it was a really high-scoring game. Even Central Michigan got their own kick return as well, just kind of how Maction is on a Wednesday night. But I was just backing the better team in this spot here, even though the records kind of say different here. Northern Illinois was the better team, especially on the defensive side of the ball, forcing 3 turnovers. So, like I said, I was just kind of backing, the better team in that spot, and really just fading Western Michigan, who, didn't really play anyone. Like I said, they beat Kent State in their last game before last night, and obviously this was the best team that they faced. Meanwhile, Kent State, my God, how are they a college football program?
Yeah, I watched the first half of that game last night, and they are as advertised with their
they're a college football program
with their defeated record.
They are a college football program. Yep, they play football. That's all we know about Kent State, and that's all we're gonna know about Kent State. But obviously, great 2-0 day for me. Obviously, just kind of bouncing back with Auburn, moving that to just 1-3 record on the season, just under 0.8 units, and then Northern Illinois, great winner for me as well. Just kind of backing the better team on the road there in that spot. So 2-0 day for me. Love that. Ari, I know the Warriors won. How'd you do yesterday?
Yeah, many sweeps for both of us yesterday. The Warriors did what I expected. I expected it to be a close game, so I was feeling good about the +6, even if I was hoping for them to win, but the +6 was looking good either way, obviously. But then as soon as Buddy Hield hit that dagger 3 with like a minute or 45 seconds left, I think that put him up like 7, so that was basically game. I guess over to the threes, right back, so I gave Boston a slight chance, but either way, it went how expected. A close game where the Warriors came out in the end. I liked Curry with his points I mentioned, and he hit his points. They got another solid game from Buddy Hield. They're just a really balanced team right now, where you have 5, 6, 7 different guys who can score in double figures any given night. And then their defense is actually really, really good as well. I mean, they held Boston to just 40 points in the first half. Then the third quarter, Boston scored, I think, 41 in the third quarter alone. So, it's hard to keep them down for the whole 4 quarters, but they were able to at least do enough, to come out with the win. And then the Clippers, it was a tie game in the first half, but then the Clippers exploded in the third quarter. I think it was 33-17 Clippers in the third quarter, which basically, they didn't look back from there. The Sixers are now 1-6, and now they just lost Maxey for the next couple of weeks to a hamstring injury. They're supposed to get Embiid back on Tuesday, but either way, brutal start for the season for the Sixers. So yeah, a good 2-0/3-0 day for me yesterday on the hardwood.
Yeah, obviously we love having a complete sweep here. 5-0 for both of us here. Obviously with your Warriors, a double down play with the +6 and sprinkling the money line. Obviously great to see from my view. Obviously, like, people are going to say, oh, the Warriors won without, they didn't have Jaylen Brown. Oh, who cares? Who cares? A win is a win. Obviously, you mentioned the Warriors defense first half played really well. It's Boston. They're going to get their shots in eventually, and they did in that third quarter. But as you mentioned, Steph Curry had himself a day. Buddy Hield had the dagger at the end. Warriors obviously looking like one of the more dangerous teams, especially on the road right now. Undefeated on the road. So just really, really good right now, just with how the bench is playing, how the cohesion looks, and maybe, who knows how far this Warriors team can go. So I do like that play for you. And obviously you mentioned the Clippers. You mentioned tough for the Sixers right now, 1-6, no Maxey for a little while. Obviously Embiid's coming back from his suspension soon, but at this point, is it really gonna really switch the 1-6 into something on a miracle one? Who knows? But at the same time, we saw Paul George be a little frustrated as well. In that game, after the game, we saw some comments talking about the crowd, and I was saying, like, bro, well, you didn't do anything for them, so why? Of course, they're going to be mad at you. You didn't do anything, but obviously, that's none the point there. Clippers got the win there, obviously, in a kind of obviously a big storyline Wednesday game for the NBA. So 3-0 day for you, Ari. 2-0 day for me. We'll try to keep that momentum going throughout the entire week here. Thursday here, I got 2 plays going back to college basketball, but first we got Thursday night football, right? And Vegas opened their trap. I like to call it, Ari, I'm assuming what a Venus flytrap is, right? When I see a 6.5-point spread, I like to call it the Vegas flytrap, right? Vegas opens their trap. They say, hey, all the Ravens need to do is win by a touchdown on today, right? All the Ravens need to do is just win by a touchdown. They already beat the Bengals. All they need to do is just win by a touchdown. No T. Higgins. Oh, they're going to beat. I bet. Bengals +6.5 -125 is my play today. I love the Bengals here. I was eyeing this as soon as it came out. I knew this game was going. As soon as I saw that this was going to be the Thursday night game, I said, I wonder what the spread's going to be. Because if it's what I was hoping it was going to be, Vegas opened their trapdoor. And once again, I know there's going to be so many casual bettors just hammering Ravens money line in their parlays and Ravens -6, teasing down the Ravens all the way down to a pick 'em, put them in a teaser. Why not? I don't like that today. I like the Bengals. I could honestly see the Bengals being live dogs, and I'm not being kidding when I say this. I'm not kidding when I say this. When you saw this game last, obviously the Bengals, they blew that game, right? They had a 10-point lead heading into the heading into the fourth quarter, or late in that third. Blew that game, obviously lost in overtime. You don't think that's going to be on the minds of Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Chase Brown, all those guys? Obviously, you don't think that's on the minds of them? Obviously, as they try to save, somewhat of their season, obviously. We always talk about how, Joe Burrow, they kind of struggle at the beginning of the year, but near the end of the year, we always talk about how this team always, is a contender for the Super Bowl or a playoff contender, not a pretender. And even though they've looked a little shaky at times, I do think this is the game where they could catch this Ravens team slipping again, because we saw how the Ravens did against the Browns, a couple of weeks ago, where the Ravens, they always play great outside the division, right? And in these close division games, they play a little close here, right? And I think the Bengals, like I said, who are coming off the last time they played them, that 41-38 overtime loss, where they had, you could say they should have won that game, right? I think this is obviously the rematch here, the get back. No T. Higgins, no problem, even though he's glass. I do like the Bengals here just to cover the 6.5 here. Like I said, they will probably be live dogs. I know that spread's going down. I'll still take it with all the money going on the Ravens. I still love the Bengals here as dogs here on the road, +6. Like I said, Joe Burrow, and we talk about the defenses, right? The Ravens defense, they give up the most passing yards to quarterbacks. I'm trying to remember. I think that was that game Joe Burrow faced the Ravens. I think he had like 5 touchdowns, or what was that? I think that passing, he had 300 passing yards, 5 touchdowns. He shredded them, right? And that's what he's going to have to depend on tonight, obviously. We know the Bengals defense is horrible, right? We know that. It's horrible, right? So if obviously I know a lot of people are going to like this over, but primetime unders, I just want to back the Bengals here. I think this is a good get back revenge narrative here on the Bengals here, plus the 6.5 on the road in Baltimore. That's my one play for Thursday Night Football there. And we're going back to the hardwood here for college basketball here. We're taking UAB here, minus the 14 at home. I got a minus 112 here. Look, a lot of steams going that direction. That line opened, I think, around 13 or 13.5. I got it at 13.5. It's going up to 14. I still love it there. Some sharp action going that direction here. Look, this is not a fade of Southern Miss, right? And I love Southern Miss. They just had, all their starters have double-digit figures last game, against Bowling Green in that challenge game, right? But this UAB team, right, their last game was actually against that Vermont team I just talked about earlier, right, where they lost that game. You look at the box. I love looking at the box score, right? You wonder, they were 5.5-point favorites. How did they lose? They went 0 of 10 from 3, Ari. They couldn't hit a single three-pointer. 0 of 10 from 3. That's, how many points? So that's 10 times. That's 30 points left up on the board because they just couldn't hit a shot from behind the arc. So 30 points, and they lost by 6, and they're 14-point favorites in the next game. I'm going to take the team that just couldn't hit a shot at home. In a bounce back against Southern Miss, obviously, I think the team's going in the right direction. I think this UAB team, very respectable team. I think, some teams struggled in the get-go, obviously, with their first game. I think this is the game they bounce back. Obviously, like I said, they couldn't hit a shot from 3. Right, and they lost that game barely. And they even lost some points on the free-throw line. They went 10 of 15 at the line. So, like I'm saying, excuse me, there's opportunities for them to score, but mostly behind the arc. If you go 0 of 10 from 3, that's not going to happen every game, right? You're going to hit your three-pointers, and obviously I do love them in a bounce back here against a good – and I'm not saying they're bad, but I think this is a good spot to back a good UAB team at home against Southern Miss. And like I said, Southern Miss, they're a little bit thin on the rotation. Obviously, outside of, their 5-man rotation, they're pretty thin, and they had a pretty they had to grind out that win against Bowling Green. That wasn't easy. So now they got to go on the road, play a UAB team that's obviously a little fresher after that tough loss at home where they just couldn't hit a 3. Yeah, I'm going to back them in that spot. So those are my 2 plays tonight. The Bengals to cover the plus 6.5. Like I said, they could be a live dog tonight against the Ravens, but I do like the plus 6.5. I'll even buy all the way down to 6. I know it's going down there, so take it there as well for that push potential maybe. And then I like UAB on the hardwood today in college basketball, minus the 14 in a bounce back spot. Like I said, they didn't hit a single 3 last game. They're going to hit a 3 this game, and I think they're going to cover the 14 at home against Southern Miss on the who obviously, like I said, thin rotation, and obviously I think you remember this name, Andre Corbello. Yeah, he's still playing college basketball. He's still there, but I still think, with that thin rotation for Southern Miss, I think UAB is going to provide too much trouble. And like I said, they couldn't hit a 3 last time. I think they're going to find their shots behind the arc today. So those are my 2 plays today. Bengals plus the 6.5, and then UAB on the hardwood minus the 14. Ari, what do you like in this Thursday slate?
Yeah, just one play for me. I was looking at the football game, but there's nothing I loved. I think it'll be, a fun back and forth game. So I'm kind of with you with the Bengals to cover, but I'm just sticking with, coming off the sweep on the NBA yesterday, just sticking with one NBA play. And it's one of my classic get in, get out spots with the Spurs at home against the Blazers. I like them to cover the 4.5 full game, but in some places it went down to 3.5 as well. So I'm just sticking with the first half for them to basically be up by a score, essentially, at halftime. This is kind of a spot where, it's tough to back the Spurs and Wemby in kind of tough matchups down low against, big physical centers, but you have essentially the complete opposite of that tonight against DeAndre Ayton in Portland down low. So it's mostly about the matchup for Wemby, and because more or less where Wemby goes, the Spurs go, and for most games. So I like a big game for Wemby, and with that, the Spurs to cover the first half. Both teams are 3-5, so neither team is off to a great start to the season, but it's mostly just about the matchup for Wemby and what that can do and open up the floor for the entire Spurs players, for all the Spurs players on the court, I should say. So at times, Portland's been scrappy, late in games as well. So I'm sticking with the first half here, getting it out. Hopefully the Spurs will lead by 3+ at halftime, and I can, not sweat the second half.
Yeah, obviously, I do love that play for you, Ari. Just taking, you're getting get out plays with the NBA for Spurs first half -2 against the Blazers. You mentioned, Wemby with this matchup tonight. Obviously, you mentioned, some people in the NBA like to call it barbecue chicken alert, as some people like to refer to that. And we'll see how that goes tonight. But you mentioned the match, just mostly backing the matchup tonight for Wemby, kind of opening up the floor for all the other guys. I think it's a great look for you. So backing with the Spurs first half, pretty much just to be up by a score for you to cover the first half spread -2. Then my 2 plays today with the Bengals plus the 6.5 in the Thursday night football game, and then going back to the hardwood with UAB covering the 14 at home. Those are our 3 plays. Of course, you can find both of them on our Twitter below, AKP Sports Talk. We'll have our full cards and, of course, a video posted momentarily. That's going to do it for this episode. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow, Friday. We got some more college basketball for the entire week. We got a big college basketball weekend. I'm not even going to lie to you. We have a huge college basketball weekend, and it's only weekend 1. It's only weekend 1 here. But, of course, we got some more college football. We got Bama LSU this weekend. Very fun matchups as well. And, of course, NFL Sunday to wrap it up. The entire weekend preview is going to be given out tomorrow, of course. So preview that. Come in tomorrow. That's going to do it for this episode. That is Ari. I'm Curry. We'll be back tomorrow. Peace out, guys.